Welcome back to the We Are More Than Moms podcast. And today we're going to be talking about how sometimes it feels that everything goes to shit when we leave, aka when you as a mom leave your kids. Sometimes it just feels like everything goes to shit, whether it's with your husband, your in-laws, your parents, your caretakers, whoever it is with. Sometimes it feels just so hard to leave because things are just not done the same way that you would do it. And while that's totally fine, I think everyone has different ways of doing it. I find sometimes I leave and I come home and I'm like, why has he not napped? Why has she not eaten? And then end up by having to deal with the ramifications of those things later on in the day. Either bedtime is pushed, one won't sleep, like, oh, like he didn't get enough nap time and he's overtired, like things like that. And sometimes it just feels adding to this mental load, feeling like so overwhelmed that I cannot rely on other people when I know I can rely on other people. I'm not saying that. It just, we do it differently, the mom.
For sure. I think we know the ins and outs of the operation our household. I like to call us the CEOs of the company because we know everything that goes on. And people might step in and do a certain task well, but they don't have this holistic vision about everything and how the day will go or how they don't think 10 steps ahead a lot of the time. Now, this is not for everyone. I actually did have a nanny who was so good like that. But I really think that many of the times, the mom just knows so much about the ins and outs of the operations of the household that when we leave, like, this is why we're so nervous to leave. Like, this is why we want to be there for bedtime and can't just give that away to our caretakers or our husband to do it by themselves because we know how everything is done. Or whatever we need to do, like we feel like we need to be in control of the situation. And I've really been trying to, with this new nanny especially, I have actually been home a lot less than normal. And for the past ever since I had Luke, I was very in the weeds, not thinking that anyone could take care of both. Again, it is hard. Obviously, having the 2 under 2, you can't be in 2 places at once. My older one wasn't in school yet. But I do find that I just had to freaking force myself to leave. And I've lately, it's been getting a lot easier. But I had this a narrative in my brain that I needed to always be there to watch to make sure that everything is going smoothly. And lately, I've just kind of been like, fuck it. I have so much to do. While my nanny is there, I'm going to let her handle for the most part. We still do rotate a bit, but just a lot less involvement than I was.
I remember, by the way, when you had your nurse and your husband was like, Dale, we don't even need a nurse. You won't leave his side, you remember? And she was like, what is she supposed to do? Like, you didn't let go for a while.
I really felt like I was the only one that I had to do it.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was the one who had to do it. And I felt like I did really want to be there for those, especially those newborn days, in the weeds. And I still do feel like I'm working and I get the best of both worlds. I can be, have that stay-at-home mom kind of energy, but also be a working mom. So I think that's also I'm so grateful for that balance because, our kids are only this little once. Same. And we want to be there. But I also noticed lately, it kind of goes to shit when I just am there and I'm not fully there. So I have to kind of choose, if I'm going to go and say hi, I've just ruined the next hour. So is that a good idea? So maybe it's better when I've asked my nannies honestly. I've said, I reached out to my old nanny and I talked to my new nanny. I'm like, is it harder when I try to help with the transitional hours, getting them a nap time? And they said, absolutely, because they always want to be with their parents.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Even just coming here now, I was screaming forever. I should have just hid in the bathroom until she left. I actually do that. I hide in places so that she doesn't see me because I know that if I come in, then I need to come in and give some full attention, at least 10 minutes versus the in and outs. And then it makes it harder for her, for my nanny, for Griffin, for everyone involved. But it's really hard to delegate and give over control. And I find I, similar to you, like had the 2 under 2, and I felt that like I had to do the 2 under 2, and I couldn't pass that off to anyone else. Like I couldn't go out on my own because how is my husband going to deal with both? Like only I can. But I know like he can too, and I know my nanny can too. It's just like having more trust. And I'm really been trying to scale back on the whole like control and like micromanaging, especially like with my husband. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, like I'm going to go to a workout, and like I'm so grateful that he is taking over so that I could go to a workout class. And then I come back and like no one napped. Like Griffin is, hasn't napped, overtired. Gemma hasn't even eaten lunch or has eaten like fruit and juice, or like, like where's the protein or like the fats and the carbs. Like, but then it's also like, okay, but like I got to do that workout. I got to fill my cup. They're totally fine. They have his love. He's an amazing, amazing father. And maybe he's not doing things exactly how I do them, but like that's okay. Like he has his way. And by me like micromanaging in and being like, oh, you have to do this and you didn't do this, then it makes him like more annoyed and like taking away his magic of their father. So like, anyway, I've been trying to like work on that aspect of control, and it feels like a lot of people like feel the same way on that topic because they've talked about it a lot. And I know you do too.
Yeah. And I think the more we allow them to step into this role, as you said, like to show that they're capable. It's also very important because the less we allow for help, the less we're going to receive it. So if we're in the mindset of, oh, they can't do it right, then they're not going to do it right, and they're not going to do it. They are going to sit back and like let you take it on. But if you show that you trust your caregivers, your in-laws, and I'm not saying to give trust to everyone. Like if you are like, this person is not capable, don't just like, it's, not a free for all. But if you really take a step back and kind of let them do their thing, usually people will surprise you because they might do it differently than you. They might do it on their own timeline, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to get done. I also sometimes have this fear that if I don't step in, that it won't get done the way I want to. But I've tried to take a little bit of a backseat lately and not micromanage and not communicate every little thing. Like, for example, yesterday my nanny took it upon herself to, I left her alone. I was on calls the whole day. I kind of didn't come down, and she wrote a grocery list, and I didn't have time to go to the market or even order the groceries. And I came downstairs, and like the fridge was fully stocked and the pantry was organized. And she's like, oh, I just went to the market. Like we have like a credit card that we let her use, I guess, while she's with the kids. And I was like, oh my gosh, like the less involved I was, the less I had to do and the more help I received. Like I kind of just like let her take control of that. And look what happened. I got the groceries done. Dinner was made, like all these things that I just know if I was there, like I would be like, okay, now I got to run to the grocery store. Now I got to do this. Now I got to do that. And to my point with my husband too is I feel like when I kind of take that step back and let him do the night routine and things like that, he does it the way he wants to, and that's fine. I get to do what I need to do. And I think it also makes him feel more confident. Yeah. With Leo, he is 100% confident. Honestly, he 100%. But I think with Luke, the baby, there was a couple nights there when I think he was like, okay, what do I do? Like, how many ounces? Like, what's her latest with that? And I just was really communicative, but I let him take the reins. And I think it was really good for him to have that because I was very territorial with the baby.
Yeah, I remember that. I feel the same way. What I started to do is so that we don't have any more like miscommunications, not really with my husband, but like some help that we'll have, is I have this like note card that's in our kitchen area, and it literally says like, Griffin eats at these times, this is how many ounces, this is how you make the bottle. And then it says also like when nap times are, for Gemma and whatnot. And it's like Gemma, one issue we had is we had a babysitter put her to bed, and she's potty trained, but she wears a diaper for nap and for a bedtime, and they did not switch that. So then there was like pee all over her bed, right? So it's like just like things like that. like routine part of like the structure. Obviously my husband knows these things, but if there's anyone coming to help us, it's helpful. Sometimes I say it in words, but sometimes it doesn't click or they don't remember everything. So I found it really helpful to just like write everything down. When there is an update, I will write that down as well. But for now, like that's what's like in our kitchen if anyone were to come, and it's helpful for them. So I have found that I need to also be clearer about my needs. And so like I'm sure like with your nanny, you've told her before, like if she happens to like be around the market or wants to go, like it would be helpful for you. Like I think we need to communicate our needs better. And that's something that I'm slowly learning. In order to receive the right help, you also have to communicate clearly.
For sure. And I find like I have a whole story in my head since I don't let anyone else know. So like I have this whole plan or like what I want them to do, but I haven't told anyone. So I like then I get disappointed that doesn't happen. And I'm like, okay, but I have to be very clear. And like sometimes it takes a couple times. But I've been also getting better at like calling actions out in the moment, or just saying, hey, this is how we do things. I would also used to feel bad and just be like, oh, I'll just do it because, you know, no one would get it right. And now I'm just trying to say, no, this is how we do it, or we can't do it like this or whatever.
Good opportunity, by the way, to bring up the whiteboard
Yes.
that we are launching.
I was thinking.
I don't know when this will go live, but we've probably already have launched our whiteboard by the time this goes live. But Dale and I on Sunday nights, we whiteboard for our family for the entire week. We put meals that need to be made. We put activities, doctor's appointments, tasks we need our nannies to help us with, schedules, really like anything just to like align the family, including our caretakers or anyone who is helping us out that week. We find it just becomes so much easier that we're aligned and on the same page and there's no questions. And even now my nanny, if I need to buy more diapers or I need more shampoo or whatever, she like writes it on the board so that I know that I need to get more of certain things, and everything is just organized. And once you, especially when you add another kid or if you're working parents, there's a lot of like things that you need to constantly doing. The mental load is so real. So when you can have just a small organization thing and have a Sunday ritual of doing this, it helps so much. Like even, you know, my Griffin, my baby, sleeps his first nap at home in the mornings. And so sometimes Gemma wants to go to the park. So if my nanny takes her to the park, since my husband and I both work at home, we try to see if one of us can be home in that morning block so that she can leave him at home instead of having him nap at the park. And then one of us is watching him. So we even like go on the board and write like, okay, Annabelle will be watching Griffin nap during this time. Like
smart.
Aaron is watching Griffin nap during this time.
I deal with that too.
Yeah. So like, and then the days that it doesn't say that one of us are going to be watching him nap, then she'll bring him to the park or she'll keep them both at home. So just like small things like this, the whiteboard is just a game changer.
And then especially with pick up and drop off, like who's picking up, who's dropping off.
For school when we get there, yeah.
We write on our whiteboard like when my in-laws come, because like for example, my father-in-law might take Leo to the park one afternoon, and then, you know, so I agree. I'm going to add that down about who's watching. I'm usually the one watching because my husband works in office, but sometimes he's home and like he doesn't go until 11. So yeah, I think the clear communication has been such a game changer. And like my husband and I invite each other to every like calendar invite, and we're very aware of like who's doing what. And I really fill him in on all that, and vice versa. Like we really had to fill each other in on exactly what we're doing that day.
Yeah, when we have our mom mingles, like all of those stuff is all on his calendar too, because he needs to be aware of like who's taking the kids, we're hosting dinner, like things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, I need to know in advance. And I know it seems very structured, but it's kind of liberating, because when you know that you have like support in place and you don't have to rush last minute, like I think it's a really like great way to map out your week, and it's been super helpful. But yeah, with school and stuff, there's obviously going to be more coordination with that, but I think it's just really important at the end of the day to loop in, you know, your support system and what you need.
Yeah, the whole family needs to be aligned. So if you're listening to this and you want to whiteboard and plan out your week, you can we'll put a link on this episode, but you can buy it. We found one on Amazon that we liked and we were whiteboarding with it. But then we were like, why don't we create our own that's also like non-toxic and sticks better and the markers are better and the eraser works and things like that. So if you were waiting for a sign to organize your family's week, definitely check that out. So one other thing we want to talk about is that sometimes it feels like we see on social media again, perfectly planned, like, or not planned, like perfectly executed, like date nights or trips to Europe or trips
It
just
looks
you
so
and
easy.
it looks so easy that you and your husband can, travel and the kids are totally fine on their own. But it's honestly like a shit show. And Dale posted this thing. You want to share?
Yeah, I just have been talking to a lot of friends lately, and a lot of them have gone through whether they're going to travel or go on date night. It's everyone posts the highlight reel, as we know. They all post the picture on the boat in Capri, or they post a date night selfie, and we're all sitting there wondering, like, oh, logistically, that's so difficult. I'm telling you, 99% of those people have had difficulties to get there, and no one is immune to figuring out a caretaking situation. So I was trying to leave for my birthday dinner. It was my birthday dinner this past Monday, and with my husband, and we had dinner for 7:30. And like the babysitter came, and I'm trying to leave, and my son is screaming not to leave, and I was gonna take an Uber there, and the Uber was about to leave, and I was just like I really like my hands are tied here. Like, what do I do? How do people do this? Like, what time people go to dinner? And I realized from a lot of comments that most people go the earlier dinner and have a babysitter or nanny stay to do the night routine. Now, on the weekends, I hire like an 18-year-old who is a monitor watcher. But what she can do is she can read to them when they're in their bed. So we can make sure they're all in bed. We can tell them it's later than it is, so they don't know like exact timing. Like they don't know that it's 6:50 instead of 7:30. So there's that, and also having my nanny extend her hours, and she can take care of the nighttime routine. So there's other options that it kind of opened my eyes to, but I do think logistically, like that's the hardest part for me is that nighttime window. And like going to dinner or coordinating date nights or
it's
events.
like you need the continuation. That's why so it's funny because Dale told me about how it was such a shit show on Monday, and I went on a date night yesterday on Tuesday, and my dinner reservation was at 7:30, but I actually changed it to 5:30 because of what you said, and it was a lot better because there was continuation. So my nanny just stayed, instead of staying till 5, she stayed till 6:30. So we went out for an hour and a half, and it was perfect. Like there was no like, oh, I went in and then we swapped. I think that's where like the tricky part is like if you're with them and then you leave before they're in bed, that's hard. And when I came back from date night, I was still able to put them to sleep, which was also really nice. So it's just like I just left from like the 5 to 6:45-ish time, and Griffin goes to bed at 7 and Gemma goes to bed around like 7:15, 7:30. So I still was able to put them to bed and have that.
Did she bathe them by herself?
So Gemma normally is bathed or has her bath at 4:30 p.m. before she leaves at 5. And Griffin has his cat nap 4:30 to 5:15-ish. So that's kind of how that works for us. And then Griffin, I only bathe him every second day. And I usually do that. I honestly haven't delegated that.
I like doing the baby bath. Well, now my kids bathe together.
And so I want to talk about this.
So last night I actually did it by myself.
Yes,
I did the whole routine by myself, and I've done it before, but I don't know. This time felt like a little more like I was even more on my own. So my nanny left. And my husband was like, "Why don't you just like put them in front of the TV till I get back at like 7?" I'm like, "No, like I want to get them bathed." And sometimes I just want to prove to myself I can do it. So it was fine. It was totally, totally fine. Like I had them like. We found a way to work it out. Like I really.
Does Luke sit in a seat?
Luke sits in the seat. Leo, goes in normally. They love having a bath together. And I brought the diaper, the wipes, everything to the bathtub first. So I kind of got it all set up before my nanny left. So I brought the diaper, the towels, and the wipes. So when I took Luke out first from the bath, I put on his diaper right there in the bathtub. And then I pretty much drained the bath till there was like literally a centimeter of water and let Leo stay in there while I got like his pajamas or like got him ready for bed, got the bottle, and then dealt with Leo and had him kind of wait and sit while I fed Luke. And by that time my husband came home. But what I would normally do was like I would just have him sit with us, give him milk too, while I feed Luke. But yeah, I just kind of made it so that they were in the bath together, had them there playing for a long time, like 30 minutes, and each gave them a towel, brought them out, put on his diaper right then and there, and then got their milk, and that was it. That was that.
I love that. Sometimes I find, or before I started doing it, it's like more daunting, like in your head than it actually is. I haven't done that yet because Griffin isn't sitting up. So like I don't put them in the bath really together. Like I can put the baby shark bath or whatever in her tub, but it just kind of defeats the purpose. Yet. But it's amazing. Like Gemma actually loves helping me give him a bath. Like she sits on the counter and I have the bath on the counter and we bathe him together, and I already prepped the bottles. She loves cleaning the bottles with me and she loves putting the bottle caps together and all that. And I just kind of like, while I feed him, she's doing an activity. She's very independent. I like watch out for her, but like it's not like I used to think it's so hard. It's not that hard once you get into your own rhythm of what works for you with both kids.
Yes. And like one underrated hack, the crib is kind of like a playpen. So we put them both, like I put them both in the crib, and they love being in the crib together. Like Leo will always say like in Luke's crib, or Luke come in his crib. So that like buys me a lot of time. So if I can plop them both in the crib and then go get the bottle, you know, I'll come back and I can see them on the Nanit. Like I just bring down my phone and I can see to make sure everything's fine. Like,
yeah,
so there are things like safe places you could put them in so you can get stuff done. Of course, it's easier with a second person with 2 kids, but it is possible. And again, like it doesn't have to be like your perfectly exact routine that you're used to. Like you can switch things up. You can skip a bath. You can, you know, mix things up a little differently, or like do the bath earlier or whatever, in order to compensate for being by yourself and to figure that
100%. out. Gemma actually climbs into Griffin's bed like to wake him up in the mornings too. It's very cute, but I get worried sometimes if she knows how to climb in. Is she going to learn how to climb out of her crib? Like probably soon. I know this girl in our mom community, Stacy, she told me that he's learning to get out of the crib himself, and that freaks me out.
I know. My friend said don't switch to a toddler bed till the day before they turn 4.
I know, but what happens when they climb
I know that's out? When you have to, unless they start climbing out.
What do you do?
I don't know. I heard that's a very bad day. I've heard that's a very bad day.
Moms, weigh in. Do you have older kids and anyone escaping the bed? Because it freaks me out because then they can open the door and like
100%.
Where are they going? Like
that's a whole thing. So I mean, we have not crossed that bridge yet, but when we do, we will let you know. And if you have any tips for that, but I think like to round this all out is, and I think I've really leaned into it more as a second-time mom, is letting go of the perfection, and that even though you are the best person to do the job, you're not the only person to do the job. You can rely on others, but probably won't look like how you do it. But once in a while, that's okay. Like it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and just to be clear with not only your expectations of like it doesn't have to go perfect, but also be clear with like the actual schedule. If you want someone to follow it, you also need to be clear and delegate accordingly.
Yes, and I think in the long run, it is worse to feel unsupported and to feel that you're not like self-assured, which is like you're not going to get the help you need. It is a worse feeling than something to maybe not go the way you wanted it to. So I think the number one thing as moms and what keeps us like really sane is knowing we have the right support in place, and to know that we can ask for help and get the support we need. And the more we ask and the more we rely on others, the more they'll be willing to give it to us.
Yeah.
So again, the more we shut it out or think that we're the only person who can do it or do it right, the less help we'll receive, the more overwhelmed, the less self-assured we'll be. And then it will just be a vicious cycle.
And as Mel Robbins says, let them give like all fruit all day or wear pajamas to a birthday party. Just let them.
And you're also not less of a mom. Like I know we think like we want to be martyrs out here and like do it all. You're not less of a mom for accepting the help.
Yeah, we're not martyrs.
Definitely.